Right now at 10, Madeline Kingsbury's family takes the stand at Adam Fravel's murder trial.
And a nonprofit is recognizing local businesses.
Plus, veterans showcase their artwork at the Tomah VA.
Watching WKBT La Crosse. This is News 8 Now at 10.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us for News 8 Now at 10. I'm Ken Kozarowski.
And I'm Emily Brown. Well, we've got rain and temperature drops ahead of us, so let's send it right over to Greg on what we can expect the rest of the week.
Yeah, thing wasn't coming up here for a second, but we definitely do. We have precipitation really coming in store right now. If I could load this up, I'll give you this. There it comes up. We're going to see it right behind it, but that system is tracking to our direction. But right now, if we look into the morning hours, it's not going to be much of a problem going out. It's going to be mainly very warm. Temperatures will kind of be steady to slowly maybe falling towards the afternoon, but in the morning, dry with maybe a slight shower or two for La Crosse, but otherwise windy and dry conditions. And the same story for Eau Claire as we go throughout. We're looking at similar type of conditions with rain chances starting to increase during the afternoon hours. So it's going to be a dry morning commute, but definitely warm. And area-wide, these temperatures that we're showing right here are really what's going to be your tomorrow's highs, almost like, because we are going to see falling temperatures throughout the afternoon right now. So overall, if I showed you early on, we showed you kind of that picture of what's going on with precipitation. It's still well to the west. It's got a ways to get here, all that in the Dakotas. And yes, there is snow going on in the Wyoming area for their first winter storm. So really later on, we'll kind of time out the wet conditions that are going to be coming up, including some significant rainfall, maybe a little mix of snow for northern areas, and how far those temperatures are going to fall by the time we get to this point Thursday evening, a bit later in the broadcast.
I'm thinking the snow could just stay in Wyoming.
Yeah,
we'll be fine, but it's going to get, close.
We're getting close to
We're getting close to the year. It is almost November now.
All right. Thank you, Greg.
Madeline Kingsbury's parents took the stand for day 9 of Adam Fravel's murder trial. Kingsbury's mother, Krista, testified she saw changes in her daughter's relationship with Fravel. She called the pair's relationship unstable, and Kingsbury was planning to permanently end things a week before she went missing. Kingsbury's father said he told his daughter to file a police report after Fravel allegedly choked her. Kingsbury's stepmother also backed that claim on the stand.
32 years in prison. That is the sentence for the man convicted of a La Crosse drive-by shooting. DeAndrew Grant was sentenced today for the June 2023 shooting on 3rd Street. Grant opened fire on a group near Polito's Pizza back then, shooting 6. He initially faced 29 felonies, but he took a plea deal last month.
An arraignment is set for the teen accused. An arraignment is set for the teen accused of killing 10-year-old Lily Peters in April. The defendant, who has not been publicly identified, will be arraigned in Chippewa County Court December 16th. The now 16-year-old boy faces first-degree intentional homicide, first-degree sexual assault, and first-degree child sexual assault. The Wisconsin Court of Appeals ruled in September that the case will be tried in adult court.
State Patrol and Altoona Police are investigating a multi-vehicle crash on Highway 12. 7 people were hurt. It happened yesterday near Highway 53. Officers say a semi heading north lost control on the exit ramp and hit 2 vehicles. That highway was closed for hours.
Congressman Mark Pocan joined former Republican Congressman Reed Ribble today to discuss the Democracy First pledge. It's a vow to accept the election results next week, regardless of the outcome. They made the pledge to show that American democracy relies on faith in the system. Ribble says that a lot of poll workers are trustworthy community volunteers and possibly one's neighbors.
I've always said during this election cycle, because there's been so much misinformation and disinformation about Wisconsin elections. And I get it. Listen, if you don't trust politicians, that's fine. You probably shouldn't trust all politicians. But at the end of the day, you can trust your neighbors.
You can find a link to the pledge and petition on our digital platforms.
The iconic New Glarus Brewing Company is expanding. Owners broke ground today on a $55 million expansion plan. The added space will include new brewing, distilling, and retail spaces and more parking. The project will also include some eco-friendly features like grass roofs.
It's a history. I think it's become part of the community. They've made sure that they've done things done things with a lot of heart, with a lot of intention. I think we've become part of the fabric of Wisconsin, and they've created something really special that I think will stand the test of time.
Construction wraps up fall of 2026.
A La Crosse nonprofit hosted its annual Industry Appreciation Lunch today. The La Crosse Area Development Corporation's event celebrates local businesses. Over 170 businesses and community leaders were in attendance. Mayo Clinic was the recipient of this year's Diamond Recognition Award for their impact in the community. United States para-archer Lucas Harrow gave keynote remarks. His message, the mind is often your biggest disability.
Don't put constraints on yourself. Anything that you believe you can do with enough hard work, effort, and patience is attainable. I never thought I'd be doing what I'm doing. I didn't have that mindset 11 years ago, but I sure do now.
Harrow was paralyzed from the waist down after a diving accident in 2013. He hopes to participate in the 2028 Paralympics.
A local organization is helping veterans explore their artistic side. Toma VA hosted its Veterans Creative Arts Coffee House today. Veterans showcased some original pieces of artwork, and some even performed dances and played some live music. A music therapist says art can be used as a medium for veterans to express their emotions.
It can really help veterans, allow for them to use music or use other modalities to express themselves when they don't maybe have words to say it or their thoughts are all jumbled.
An event takes place every 12 weeks and is open to the public. The next Veterans Creative Arts Coffee House will be in January. Campaigns ramping up.
Vice President Kamala Harris is rallying supporters in D.C., while former President Trump's recent rally is sparking controversy.
Are you thinking about new windows and doors? A new bathroom, a new kitchen, maybe a sunroom, siding, or a deck? Get started today with special savings while we celebrate serving homeowners for over 35 years. While we celebrate Danielle becoming the new general manager.
And celebrate Dad's 80th birthday.
Best products.
The best people.
Best prices.
35th anniversary at the board store.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
California banker Eric Hovde has a plan that helps him and hurts you.
Here's the math. Hovde proposed $4 trillion in new tax cuts for rich people like him.
And we pay for Hovde's tax breaks with a 28% cut to Social Security and a 25% cut to Medicare.
Hovde even said he would raise the retirement age.
You have to start changing the retirement age.
Eric Hovde, still helping himself and hurting you.
Win Senate is responsible for the content of this ad.
Politics these days stinks. Too much hot air, and you know what else. But I'm no stranger to putting in a hard day's work and getting the job done. I have a history of bipartisan accomplishments. It's a hard job, but I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty. I can reach across the aisle and pass good bills just as easily as I can walk across the barnyard with my shovel. So whether it's doing chores on the farm or passing bills in Madison, I'm Steve Doyle, and I'm ready to get back to work for you.
It's so cold.
I guess I should have called G&T Heating before the furnace went bad. Quite silly, really, with all the things that can go bad with a furnace. Plug vent, rust buildup, dirty flame sensor, the filter. Should have called G&T sooner.
My fingers are freezing. They're numb.
Oh, take my extra pair of gloves.
Extra gloves?
With exactly 1 week to go before Election Day, Vice President Kamala Harris delivered her campaign's closing argument in our nation's capital.
Former President Donald Trump was in Florida and Pennsylvania on damage control following his controversial rally over the weekend. CBS's Natalie Brand has the latest.
Vice President Kamala Harris promised to put country above party as she spoke to tens of thousands of her supporters on the National Mall with a backdrop of the White House.
It is time for a new generation of leadership in America.
This is the same spot where former President Donald Trump spoke on January 6, 2021, before a group of his supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol. The Harris campaign says it chose the location for the symbolism and to strike a contrast.
Donald Trump has spent a decade trying to keep the American people divided and afraid of each other. That is who he is. But America, I am here tonight to say that is not who we are.
Tuesday, her campaign also took over the Las Vegas Sphere in Battleground, Nevada, and she sat for interviews with local TV stations in Pennsylvania. The Keystone State offers the biggest electoral prize of the battlegrounds, and a new CBS News YouGov poll shows the race there is tied. The poll was taken before Trump's rally on Sunday, which was overshadowed by racist rhetoric towards Latinos by a comedian speaking at his event.
It was like a love fest. An absolute love fest, and it was my honor to be involved.
Trump defended the Madison Square Garden rally and said in an interview he didn't know the comedian. Tuesday night, he rallied in Allentown, Pennsylvania, a majority Latino city where Puerto Ricans make up nearly a third of the population.
Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here. You're fired.
Several Latino speakers made direct appeals to Puerto Rican voters.
Quiero decirle a mis compañeros puertorriqueños, necesitamos liderazgo.
More than 50 million Americans have now voted early, including a record-shattering 3 million in Georgia. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Washington.
Harris is headed for Pennsylvania on Wednesday for a rally in Harrisburg. It's part of a three-state tour that includes Raleigh, North Carolina, and Madison, Wisconsin. Trump will also be in Wisconsin Wednesday, headed to Green Bay.
Longtime Trump ally Steve Bannon was released from a federal prison in Connecticut today after serving a 4-month sentence for defying a subpoena in the congressional investigation into the Capitol attack on January 6th.
Bannon left the low-level federal correctional institution in Danbury, Connecticut in the pre-dawn hours. The 70-year-old began serving his sentence in July after the Supreme Court rejected his bid to delay it while he appeals his conviction.
I think you can see today, I'm far from broken. I am more empowered today, more focused today, sharper today, in better shape today than I've ever been in my entire life.
Bannon said he taught his fellow inmates civics classes while he was incarcerated. He also resumed his podcast just hours after his release. He says he's now focused on helping his former boss win the presidential election.
It'll affect millions and your holiday travel plans.
After the break, the big rule change if you're flying.
And we're looking at wet conditions returning for your Wednesday. That'll go into your Thursday. We'll time out how much when the rain starts, how much we're going to get, what the temperatures eventually look like towards the second half of this week. That all coming up on your First Warn Weather Update after the break.
Right now at International Furniture, get store-wide fall savings on all the brands you know and trust. Fjords, Durham Bedroom, Norwalk, Hooker, Flex Steel, and Hancock and more. Hurry in today for the best selection and savings. International Furniture, I-90 Exit 2, La Crosse.
Insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
Kamala wouldn't change a thing. Their weakness invited wars, welfare for illegals, while Americans struggle. Now Kamala wants higher taxes on top of higher prices. We can't afford 4 more years of Kamala.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Are record high energy costs putting a squeeze on your fixed or limited incomes? While you haven't asked for it, the Keep Wisconsin Warm Cool Fund and your local energy assistance providers are here to help. No Wisconsin resident should ever have to face the challenge of living without heat or power or face homelessness. For a hand up, apply today.
When I was 27, I was diagnosed with MS. That's life-altering news. I had to prioritize my health and start taking medication. Back then, these cost $6,000 a year. Now the generics cost 5 times that. Senator Baldwin claims she's fighting to lower drug prices, but she's taking millions from Big Pharma and works for them. I'm not taking their money. I'm Eric Hovde, and I approve this message. I'll fight the corruption and lower drug prices because I've lived it.
I'm Rebecca Cook, and like most folks in Wisconsin, I'm somewhere in the middle.
Oh, please. Don't be fooled by Rebecca Cook. She made her living trying to elect Democrat extremists. Cook proudly supported radicals who want to defund police, end cash bail, and throw open the border. No wonder extremists like AOC are spending big bucks to elect liberals like Cook. Rebecca Cook, just another liberal trying to fool you. Congressional Leadership Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Right now at International Furniture, get store-wide fall savings on all the brands you know and trust. Fjords, Durham Bedroom, Norwalk, Hooker, Flex Steel, and Hancock and more. Hurry in today for the best selection and savings. International Furniture, I-90 Exit 2, La Crosse.
Is it time for new windows or doors? Contact the company who has done the research for you. The best windows and doors installed by the best people. Clear Choice Window and Home Solutions.
You're watching News 8 Now. Expect more.
U.S. airlines are now required to refund passengers automatically if their flight is significantly delayed or canceled. The Department of Transportation says the final federal rule requiring that airlines dole out refunds, not vouchers, went into effect yesterday.
The rule says airlines must refund passengers affected by significantly changed flights within 7 business days if they bought a ticket on a credit card and within 20 calendar days if they used another form of payment.
When an airline knows that anybody on a flight that's going to get canceled is going to get their money back, it gives them more of a reason to make the investments and the realistic schedules that prevent that from happening to you in the first place.
Now, the move has faced pushback from the airline industry and is being implemented only a month before the start of what is likely to be a huge holiday travel season.
Well, we have got some rain coming our way to the western Wisconsin region. Let's get all the details from our chief meteorologist, Greg Barnhart.
Yeah, if you like a rainy day, rainy night, it's actually good. We're going to finally get it. We haven't seen this in all October, and really we might actually get close to the 3.5 inches we're below average since September by this point next week. So it's a wet period. We definitely need it. We're going to get it here. But the good news is your morning commute won't be impacted. It'll still be warm out there, windy, mainly dry all the way to about noon. It's really in the afternoon and especially the evening when it gets wet, and that could be moderate rainfall at times, continuous moderate rainfall through the evening commute for some, and that could include some thunderstorms also. And the wet conditions continue on Thursday, but more showery, and it depends on where you are. It won't be quite an all-day type rain. Definitely cooler, too, on Thursday as temperatures continue to lower throughout the whole period. And that's the other big story is our high temperatures, the highest temperature we're going to see pretty much are tomorrow morning, and they're continually to fall. So as you wake up tomorrow, we're not seeing much of a shower activity until afternoon. You'll start seeing some pop up just west of La Crosse. Then by the time we get to about 3 p.m., we're starting to see more scattered coverage of the showers, maybe a few thunderstorms farther west. By the time we get to about 4, we're looking at the expanded coverage, and then by the time we get to the evening commute, we're going to see a nice line of moderate rainfall, potentially really continuous across a lot of the area with lighter rainfall on the outer edges of it. So where this sets up, it's definitely going to be a very wet evening commute and really going to need the wipers going on for this activity. It'll continue to shift eastward throughout the evening, but slow as it pushes southeast, so this rain will continue. Meanwhile, you'll start seeing the back edge of this start to approach Eau Claire as we get closer to midnight. So the rain amounts as we get closer to midnight past there will probably start to lighten as this whole area begins to shift eastward. So it'll continue to rain probably Wednesday night, but I think we might see a break Wednesday, late Wednesday night into early Thursday where it's more just drizzle or some light rain. Really is because you can kind of see drier air gets pulled up here as the main front begins to shift east. So I think we'll see a little bit of a break here. Precipitation that'll come back in as everything begins to wrap around this low probably by Thursday morning. More showery in place. And then when we go to the afternoon, notice the blue starting to show up. It's starting to cool off towards the Twin Cities up to Duluth. That'll wrap around and potentially like areas like Rusk County, maybe in the Ladysmith area, maybe even further south towards Eau Claire, might see a little mix of that snow with the rain as we go towards Thursday afternoon and evening and before we actually clear the system out. We shouldn't expect any amounts of snow with this, but definitely it's that time of year where you're going to start seeing it. Temperatures, that's in your morning. By the time we get to afternoon, we're looking at 60s, 50s, so it continuously falls. Wednesday night, it's going to do the same thing, fall back in. So Thursday morning, you're in the low to mid 60s, low to mid 50s up to the north. By the time we get to Thursday afternoon, we're going to see 30s up to the north potentially, and we're going to see temperatures in the more mid 40s to the south. So that's where you can start seeing a little bit of the mix potential there for some snowfall, especially if you have travel plans further north and west going to Duluth and those areas. That's where the snowfall could actually get a little bit more significant here. But there's your rain amounts. Pretty good amounts of rainfall. And I mentioned the snow word. We're not going to expect to see anything up there, but it'll be up to the north. Otherwise, the 8-day forecast has rain coming back in for the weekend, and that looks to be a wet system, but doesn't look to be as impressive with rain amounts as this current one. But the overall good news is for Friday in high school football, it looks to be dry once again.
No snow word. No.
Well, I think some areas will start to see it. It's not going to accumulate, but it will be something.
All right. Thank you, Greg. Coming up next in sports, rallies in Rochester. More volleyball quarterfinal action from the Mayo Civic Center. Find out whose seasons came to a close. Jacob is next.
News 8 Now Sports is brought to you by Ho-Chunk Gaming Wisconsin, with 6 locations of fun.
With Chevy trucks, be ready for adventure. With power you can count on. Capability that doesn't compromise. A hard-working EV with more range than any competitor. And the potential to take you anywhere.
Get 0% financing plus make no monthly payments for 90 days on all 2024 Silverado 1500 pickups. Or get $5,750 total value on this Silverado. Visit HometownChevy.com.
I'm Rebecca Cook, and like most folks in Wisconsin, I'm somewhere in the middle.
Oh, please. Don't be fooled by Rebecca Cook. She made her living trying to elect Democrat extremists. Cook proudly supported radicals who want to defund police, end cash bail, and throw open the border. No wonder extremists like AOC are spending big bucks to elect liberals like Cook. Rebecca Cook, just another liberal trying to fool you. Congressional Leadership Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Welcome to Washington, D.C. You got a bunch of loudmouth, preening politicians. It's absolute chaos. I'm Derek Van Orden, and after 26 years as a Navy SEAL, there's a few things that I learned. You stay on mission, you know what you're fighting for, and sometimes you gotta get a little dirty to finish the job. Let's go, kids. Not you. Not you. You. Let's go. I'm Derek Van Orden, and I approve this message.
Derek Van Orden's in trouble, and the special interests are bailing him out. Just look at who's paying for all these ads. Big banks, insurance companies, drug companies. Because Washington insiders want to restrict healthcare access and let insurers deny people with pre-existing conditions. Millions would lose coverage. Wisconsin's fed up with Van Orden and Washington insiders. We want leaders who will fight for us.
I'm Rebecca Cook, and I approve this message.
Black River Furniture Outlet is marking a special milestone this year. 30 years of community, family, and business. Offering cabin furniture,
patio furniture, rugs,
dining furniture,
mattresses,
sofas and love seats. It's stupendous.
Stop in and check out 3 showrooms of product. Furniture from our family to yours. Black River Furniture Outlet, Black River Falls.
Covering all of the exciting action from your community, here's News 8 Now Sports.
The Cotter volleyball team has dropped 1 match since September 12th. That's 17 wins in their last 18 tries. They were looking to keep it rolling in the Class 2A quarterfinal tonight. Lewis and Altura across the net from the Ramblers early in this one. Cardinals looking to set the tone. It's Emily Hansen finding space to pick up the point for the Cards. But Cotter was just too fundamentally sound. Great defense in the back leads to a Caitlin Ubel spike that lands in enemy territory. And you know things are going well when something like this happens. The overpass from Ubel is going to drop on the Lewis and Altura side, and that is another point for Cotter. Not much later, Clarissa Sauer getting in on the fun as she blows one past the Cardinal back line. Ramblers pick up their 23rd win of the season and advance to the Class 2A semis on Thursday. So who will they face? Winner of this match, Caledonia and Pine Island. 6th-seeded Panthers starting fast. Tegan Barnett drops the hammer. Warriors trailing early, but this team is so experienced and has played in the big games, especially this girl right here, Liv Myrie, with a solo stuff, sending it back to the Pine Island side. And there was a clear advantage at the net for Caledonia. This time it's Sienna Ogdahl plopping it on the opponent's side on the overpass. And then it's the sophomore making an impact, Elsa Blum. Lets one rip from the left side, and that is too hot to handle. Warriors take this one, setting up a rematch of a thriller from early mid-September when Cotter won in 5 sets. UWL women's soccer hosting Concordia today on the pitch, and the game was action-packed early. Megan McNeely here is going to drop it off to Chelsea Gale as she gets past the defender and is going to bang it top shelf to make it 3-0 Eagles just 7 minutes in. Then Sophie Pope with the Jets down the sideline sends in a picture-perfect cross to fellow Eagle Jillian Sawadsky, and she taps it home to make it 4-0. And not much later, Sawadsky is going to stick with it after losing it for a moment, sends a missile to the top corner, which means a first-half hat trick for her. How about that? UWL has already clinched the WIAC title. They'll wrap up their regular season Saturday against Stevens Point. Coming up on Friday this week, also on the campus of UWL, the Eagle men's wrestling team will host the 4th annual Wisconsin Showcase. The Eagles enter the season as the 3rd-ranked team in the D3 coaches poll. They're coming off a 3rd-place finish at the national meet last season and have some wrestlers in the preseason rankings. Coach Dave Malachek says the team has put in the work and they're ready for action to begin.
All spring and all summer, they put the time and energy in. They've improved as wrestlers. They've gotten their bodies healthy, ready to go. So when you talk about the beginning of the season, these guys have been thinking about this since last spring.
Friday's showcase will feature NCAA Division I, II, and III matches in Mitchell Hall. Also in attendance, Cornell, Parkside, Maryville, and Madison. And although it felt like summer today, the fall sports season is winding down. The Westby girls cross country team qualified for state last Saturday, dominating the field. Elizabeth Curtis led the way for the Norsemen, finishing in 3rd place, and not far behind, Addison Evenstad, Hannah Hagen, Odessa Hebner, and Natalie Miller. Hard work beginning in the summer is paying off for the Westby team, and their balance as a team is what can separate them from other squads.
Well, we kind of we know where we're supposed to be and who we're supposed to be with, so when that comes to workouts, if we're not by them, we know we can go harder.
When you have girls that are or athletes that are just, this close in ability level, each and every practice is making them better because they're pushing one another.
The ladies from Westby will be running at noon on Saturday at the Ridges Golf Course in Wisconsin Rapids. So best of luck to them. Lots of area teams racing as well. And either of you guys cross-country runners back in the high school days?
I was not. I've never been a long-distance runner. I was a sprinter if I had to do field day events.
Yeah, not cross-country, more like a cross-bridge. I'll cross the Mississippi Bridge.
Fair enough. I was never that good.
Oh, you were cross.
I was never that good. Just to get in shape for basketball is what I said, but. Not the most fun sport, but tip your cap to those runners. It's a great sport.
Yeah, best of luck to them.
Thanks.
Okay, more news right after this.
Is your personal injury lawyer trying to sell you a settlement that you don't think is fair? You need a lawyer who won't settle your case just to move on to the next one. Get the full compensation you deserve. Get Bygoff and Rohde.
Lane's Farm & Fleet's Fall Workwear event is going on now. We've got unbeatable deals on quality boots and apparel to help your hard-earned dollars go further. Like $5 off men's work and sport flannels starting at $24.99. Shop new fall styles of men's and women's Ariat workwear and accessories. Get $30 in Carhartt bucks for every $125 you spend on Carhartt gear. Plus, save $80 on this Milwaukee 4-tool combo kit.
We all know what Eric Hovde's trying to do, falsely attacking Tammy Baldwin by questioning her personal life. And Eric Hovde's trying to scare you. The truth is, no sex change surgeries take place on minors in Wisconsin. 0. And Baldwin didn't give funding to a transgender clinic. It's actually a youth homeless shelter. Eric Hovde's a billionaire banker who thinks he can lie about anything. But Wisconsin's better than Eric Hovde.
I'm Tammy Baldwin, and I approve this message.
Who does Derek Van Orden think he is? This guy who reportedly shouted at kids in the U.S. Capitol? I don't give a who you are. I'm a congressman.
Derek Van Orden doesn't care about making our lives better. He'd make Wisconsinites pay
just to give huge tax cuts to corporations and the wealthy. Van Orden even sides with extremists who tried to cut Social Security. Wisconsin deserves better, and Derek Van Orden does not belong in Congress.
HMP is responsible for the content of this advertising.
It seems like everyone in Washington is either too far left or too far right. I'm Rebecca Cook, and like most folks in Wisconsin, I'm somewhere in the middle. I'll stand up to Democrats to fight for a secure border and stop wasteful spending. I'll stand up to extremists like Derek Van Orden, who wants to ban all abortions with no exceptions. Like you, I'm fed up and ready for change. I approve this message because it's time that we sent one of us to Congress.
When I called other lawyers, I wasn't even sure who was going to be representing me. Once I called BGR and talked to Brian, I felt secure immediately. I'm so glad that I called Bygoff and Rohde.
You expect more, so thank you for watching News 8 Now.
A North Carolina man cannot believe his luck.
Nope. Last Tuesday, Jerry Hicks went to a convenience store and found $20 laying in the parking lot. Hicks went into the store and bought a scratch-off lottery ticket. Turns out that ticket was worth $1 million.
And Hicks claimed his prize last Friday. He's opting to get the lump sum instead of getting smaller amounts over 20 years. Plans to use the money to help his kids and retire after 56 years on the job as a carpenter.
What a lucky guy. I would do lump sum too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No matter what the amount is.
Yeah, lump sum.
Yeah, always. You know,
right off the bat.
No annuity over 20 years.
Yeah.
Give me that money.
And it's nice that he's giving it to his kids. What would you do with it?
I would pay off existing debt between my wife and I, get my dad like his dream sports car, even though he can buy nice cars for himself, but really throw him something where it's like, it's gonna knock your socks off.
Yeah, something just wild, like, yeah.
Maybe like 10
Not practical
Lamborghinis.
at all. Yeah, exactly. Nothing practical. Okay, Greg, we'll have one final look at your forecast when we come back.
Right now at International Furniture, get store-wide fall savings on all the brands you know and trust. Fjords, Durham Bedroom, Norwalk, Hooker, Flex Steel, and Hancock and more. Hurry in today for the best selection and savings. International Furniture, I-90 Exit 2, La Crosse.
Derek Van Orden's in trouble, and the special interests are bailing him out. Just look at who's paying for all these ads. Big banks, insurance companies, drug companies. Because Washington insiders want to restrict health care access and let insurers deny people with pre-existing conditions. Millions would lose coverage. Wisconsin's fed up with Van Orden and Washington insiders. We want leaders who will fight for us.
I'm Rebecca Cook, and I approve this message.
For 54 years, they were trying to get Roe v. Wade terminated, and I did it.
He did it. It was pretty devastating.
He is bragging about the rights that he stole from American women. And Trump is promising to do more. In Project 2025.
They are restricting birth control,
tracking pregnant women, enforcing a nationwide abortion ban. The government should get out of my business.
Stay out of my business.
That's not the government's business.
In America, women make their own decisions.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Are record high energy costs putting a squeeze on your fixed or limited incomes? While you haven't asked for it, the Keep Wisconsin Warm Cool Fund and your local energy assistance providers are here to help. No Wisconsin resident should ever have to face the challenge of living without heat or power or face homelessness. For a hand up, apply today.
Think you know Steve Doyle? Think again. Doyle refused to protect our daughters, forcing them to share bathrooms and locker rooms with biological boys, and voted to force girls to compete against boys in sports. Doyle believes dangerous puberty-blocking drugs should be given to minors, and gender reassignment surgeries performed on children. Keep kids safe? Steve Doyle says no. Ryan Hipsch, focused on what matters, helping families with rising costs and protecting our children. It's just common sense. Ryan Hipsch for Assembly.
They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. Why hasn't she done it?
For years, radical Kamala Harris created the border crisis. Thousands of accused murderers, rapists, even terrorists pour in. Each crime they commit makes American victims. Innocent victims of Kamala's open border agenda. They were bludgeoned, raped, strangled, stabbed, shot, and murdered. Kamala created the border crisis. She won't fix it now. Make America Great Again, Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Right now at International Furniture, get store-wide fall savings on all the brands you know and trust. Fjords, Durham Bedroom, Norwalk, Hooker, Flex Steel, and Hancock and more. Hurry in today for the best selection and savings. International Furniture, I-90 Exit 2, La Crosse.
All right, wet end to Friday. Really, for the evening commute, definitely is going to be wet. It'll turn into a wet Thursday, much cooler. The high temperatures Thursday, 51, but that's in the morning. They continue to fall. The good news is Friday we dry out, but it's going to be a wet tomorrow evening.
It's going to be wet.
Yep.
Brace yourselves, everybody. It's going to be wet.
See you tomorrow.